Hello everyone, I am back with another layout. I'm going to be scrapbooking this super cute picture of my daughter and her pink donut. And I'm just showing you some of the things that I've pulled to work with on this layout, but I'm going to be flipping through this 6x6 paper pad. I got this at Michael's, it's a Recollections brand, and the paper itself is pretty darn thin, but it is huge. There's a ton of colors and a ton of patterns, and when I saw it, I thought it would be a good basic paper to add to my stash. And I pulled that blue striped paper and then the multicolored polka dot paper from that pack. And because my photo is 6 inches tall and that paper is 6 inches, I had to kind of piece it together to get it big enough to layer there. And those polka dots reminded me of the polka dots on her donut, so I thought it would be good to use on this layout. The doilies that I'm pulling are from Bo Bunny, and I take one of them and I put in the upper left hand corner, and then I take another one and I put in the lower right hand corner, and I focus the rest of my layers and embellishments around these two spots. That tag, I got that from Hobby Lobby. And then I'm going to be taking out a wood veneer frame. I got that at a little drugstore. We went camping with some family this summer, and we're all from, different areas. So we met in this little town before we, headed up the mountain. And me and my husband got there first, and so we went into this little drugstore. And when I went down their craft aisle, I was super impressed with their scrapbook section. It had, a large amount of, supplies, and then it had some pretty big brand names, and the stuff was pretty current. It wasn't super old, and I grew up in a small town, and you never would have found that kind of stuff at our local drugstore. So I was pretty impressed. Me and my husband joked that the pharmacist's wife must be a scrapbooker, but it was pretty impressive. So I got these frames here and a couple other things, and I'm putting this white paper behind that frame because I think at this point I'm thinking that I'm going to layer more things behind that frame, and I don't want you to see them through the frame. And then I pull out these basic gray white letter stickers and some Heidi Swapp word phrase stickers, and I'm just trying to think of what I'm going to be putting in that frame. And there's a couple of good options on that Heidi Swapp pack that I'm thinking about, but I decided to hold off and figure out where I'm going to put my journaling. And I use this white piece of cardstock, and I'm just going to tuck it in behind my photo. Those butterfly veneers, I got those at Tuesday Morning. The last time I went, they had a pretty good selection of wood veneer, and I think they're from American Crafts. So to add a little bit more interest to this layout, I decided to back everything with that piece of vellum, and it has little white polka dots on it. It's my favorite vellum to use. I really like it. And I got that at Hobby Lobby, and I've also gotten it at Joann's as well. I think it was my last video or maybe one before that, but I talk about when I see people use permanent glue like hot glue or just a more permanent adhesive, that I get a little freaked out because I could never do it. I change my mind a lot, and so I would be tearing everything up if I used hot glue. And this layout is a perfect example of that. I can't get these layers how I want them. I can't decide if I want that blue paper sticking below the polka dot paper or above it or where I want it. And it takes me a little bit to figure it out. Once I get it situated though, I'm able to adhere it to that vellum. So once I get those base layers how I like them, I decide to go ahead and adhere the rest of those layers down to my layout. This twine, I got it at Joann's. I haven't noticed it before, so I think it's new, but the last time I went to Joann's, I saw that they had a new, it almost seems like a party section. It had supplies to make banners and some treat bags and then other embellishments that matched the color scheme. And everything seemed pretty cheap. This twine was $1. Maybe everything was $1. I can't quite remember, but I got this twine from there. So I'm using these Ali Edwards stamps on this layout, and these are just part of her new stamp subscription. And the prompt that I'm going to be using is, let me see, I want to remember. And I'm just making sure, because my I kind of tilted that journaling block, I wanted to make sure that prompt would fit even when it got a little thinner. And I'm just trying to decide on what color of ink to use. I originally think that the soft cantaloupe from Hero Arts would look good with that teal paper. And then I remember that other embellishments I'm going to be using on this layout are pink. And then also there's that pink donut, which is, you know, what this whole page centers around. So I decided to switch to some pink. And I don't know the brand of this ink. I got it from Tuesday Morning, and I think it's American Crafts, but it doesn't say on there. It came in a pack of 6 though. And I just, stamp that phrase above each little section. And basically what had happened was my little girl, we were, getting ready for breakfast, and she comes up to me and says that she wanted a pink donut for breakfast. And she hardly ever does that. Food is not a big deal to her. She's had some medical complications in her life, and as a result from that, she had to have a feeding tube. And she's had that since she's been about 6 months old. And we have been trying to wean her off that tube for a long time. She's almost 3, and we are at the tail end of that process. It's been a really long, exhausting process, and we're really excited to be getting to the tail end of that. But because she's had, all these issues around this, food is just not a big deal to her. And so for her to specifically ask for a pink donut was exciting. And so what I did was I wrote down, just little things from that morning, like that she specifically asked for a pink donut, and how, I was about to say no, but I said yes, and I was happy I did that. And even that my husband took my car that day, so I only had his truck, and she loves riding in her truck, so that added to the excitement of the day. And he doesn't usually let her eat in his truck, and I gave her that donut to eat on the way home, and that was even exciting. So it was just a pretty exciting morning for her. And when we had stopped at a stoplight, I just turned around, and she was smiling and gobbling down that donut, and I just snapped this picture. So when I pulled out that stamp set, I was kind of looking at the Today You and Love This stamp, and I was thinking that if I split that up, it would maybe fit in this frame. And it actually ends up fitting perfectly. And I decided to go with the Today You because that frame, I don't know if you can see it, but it says Love This. So I didn't want to put, the Love This and have it repeat. So I thought the Today You was super appropriate for this layout as well. And I like that I can get that pink and also a stamped image on another part of the layout. So it ended up working pretty good. And I thought about cutting this stamp. I've cut them before, and I see a lot of other people do it. And I know it's okay because if you want to use it together, you can just piece it together again. But I don't know, a little bit of me gets really sad when I cut them. So I just decided to ink up the part that I wanted to use, and then, you know, just split it up that way. I have a good amount of stamps because I really want to use them, but I don't know. I haven't stamped very much, and so it's hard for me to actually get them on a layout. I'm really excited to be doing this this stamp subscription because it'll get me to use my stamps more, and also, you know, there's a bunch of people who have the same stamps, so I can get into the gallery and look how other people use those stamps, and then, you know, that's obviously going to inspire me to use mine more and in different ways. And I really liked how a lot of times when I stamp on a layout, the stamping just looks out of place to me, and I think on this layout it flowed really well, so I was super happy with that. It's easier for me to fit stamping into Project Life than it is on an actual layout, so my goal is to fit it on my layouts more. I glue these butterflies down with glossy accents, and you can even tell, just I knew where they were going to go, and I knew where I wanted them, and even before I hesitated before I glued that big butterfly down, because it's just that permanent glue. It freaks me out a little bit. So these cork stickers, they're American Crafts, and I got those at Tuesday Morning as well. They're pretty delicate. I've ruined a couple of them. When you take, they're pretty thin, so you got to be careful when you take them off, if you choose to take them off. And then these enamel dots, I just scatter a couple of them in those two areas, and they're from Freckled Fawn, and that light pink is a super pretty pink. I really like it. And then from here, the only thing I have left to do is put my date on there. So I just use this roller stamp, and I'm hesitating because I kind of forget what month it was in. I knew this was a recent picture, but I couldn't remember if it was last month or this month. So that is pretty much it. I'm just showing you a few close-ups here. I'm pretty happy with how this turned out, and thank you so much for watching. Bye.